Hi, this is Pearl and welcome to my channel. Today I have my week 15 of my 2020 Project Life album. I am using the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit, and this is for the month of April. Now most of her things had to do with Easter, so that's why I saved it for this week. I am putting my photos in semi-chronological order, and I'll do a little insert for the photos I have of my kids with Easter. So I'm going through the cards that she has, and I'm trying to decide where to put what. And the very left 3x4 card is always my title card. That's where I number which week it is for my album. So I'm going to go with the first picture, and that picture is of my daughter doing dance on Zoom. And I'm going to use a label here, and these are the print and cut labels from Studio Calico. This is for the month of April, but I'm going to go ahead and use them for this layout as well. I like to journal a lot, so I'm putting this on, and I'm just covering her dance bag right there. I always like to have my labels coming off the sides, so I'll journal and then I'll use my tiny attacher to staple it to give it extra dimension. I am using my Zebra Sarasa dark gray vintage pen, and I like to use gray instead of black so it's not so stark when I do my journaling. So I wrote, Kaya continues her dance classes on Zoom. It's hard to get her away from her brothers to take her classes. And then I'm date stamping that using the Felicity Jane date stamp with Stays on ink. I also have the VersaFine ink that I'm going to be using for when I stamp on paper. Now this sticker sheet, this word sticker sheet is from the Studio Calico kit, and I do put two on here, and one is, it says it could be worse, and the other says embrace the moment. So I'm just going to put those on there. Now this next picture is of my daughter reading to me, and I'm also going through the other embellishments from the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit, and I put a red circle sticker that says right now, and I have it coming over the edge, so I cut the edge of that one off. Now for this label that I'm putting on, I'm using the Kokio adhesive. This is my favorite roller adhesive to use for Project Life. I get them on Amazon. It's a Japanese brand, and I ordered these on Amazon as well as the refills. So I wrote, Kaya started to read the Bob books, got to get a head start on kindergarten. And then I'm going to use, of course, my tiny attacher to staple the label on there. Now I do use an adhesive just to make sure my label stays on and that it's straight, but I do like the staple for the added dimension. I am using a chipboard sticker that came with the Ali Edwards kit that says on this April day. I'm having it come off the edge, and so I'm going to cut the edge off using my Tim Holtz, I think it's a 5.5-inch scissor. Then on my title card, I'm using puffy stickers from the Felicity Jane alphas, and I'm just putting 1-5 there. The stickers that came with the Studio Calico kit did not have any numbers, so I'm just using just some numbers from my stash. So on this card that says routines, it says currently happening around here. I wrote, even though it's spring break, I want to start getting into the groove of distance learning. So every morning we read for 1 hour, write for 30 minutes, and then watch CNN 10. I'm finding I get reading done at this time too. And then I'm going to date stamp. That's for the one on the bottom. I realize that if my kids aren't sitting there reading with me, sometimes they can sneak and say they read when they actually hadn't. Maybe I should work on trying to trust my kids, right? I do get better at that, by the way. So we only did that routine for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So then I want to put another a chipboard sticker, and I'm using the one that it's kind of a starburst, and it says hello spring, and I'm having that come off the edge on the top, so I cut the top portion of that chipboard. Now this is another picture of my computer screen, and I am still backing up my photos, and so I just wanted to put that on there. Now this picture is of my daughter, and she's erasing her name Kaya off the table. Now I wrote on this journaling card, which says life is a balance of holding on and letting go. I wrote, oh Kaya, she took a Copic marker and wrote her name across the new table. Ugh. I made her spend some time trying to erase it with Lysol wipes, then took away the Copic markers, and she loves coloring with Copics. Learning consequences can be so hard. I was really surprised she did that because usually she's so good about only writing on paper, but I guess every kid does that, except for my oldest. Actually, my two oldest never wrote on anything other than paper. But my third child used to write on the walls. But I guess I need to have a child that does everything, right? So I tried to stamp on here, and I'm going to use the stamp with the Stays On ink. And the one I'm going to try to stamp is the one that says, I think, the stories of right now. And I stamp that, and it doesn't come out right. So then I try to stamp it again, and it still doesn't come out right. I need to re-ink that ink pad. I re-ink it a lot. But you can't see it there. I should have shown it better. But it came out so crooked that I do take time out to, and I'm going to go ahead and reprint that photo. And instead of stamping the stamp, I'm going to put the wood veneer that says memories, and I'm going to adhere that to the top. So there's my new photo. I was going to try to see if I could just put the wood veneer over the stamp, but you could still see the stamp underneath, so I just decided to reprint that. So I'm going to date that, and I'm looking to see if there are any other stamps that I can use on this layout, and there isn't. So I go on to the right-hand side of my layout. Now here's this photo of my kid, one of my kids' rooms, and I took a picture of this, and I'm journaling on the one that says grow. There's always room for growth. I wrote, Christian tried to sneak the monitor and Xbox into his bedroom. Not happening. This would set a bad precedence. After I found them in here playing Xbox in their room, I made them put it back into the playroom. I guess they need to test their boundaries, right? Part of growing up. My mom said I used to do a lot of the testing of the boundaries, so I guess this is manageable, as I should say. And the chipboard sticker I'm going to use on the top left-hand side of that photo says growing up, and I'm going to have that hanging off the edge as well. Now, there's a picture of the coronavirus. I just took a screenshot of the TV, and it talks about how many coronaviruses cases there are in San Diego, and I just wanted to document that. Now, this chipboard label, I took powder and I powdered the top portion of this label so that I could have it sticking off the edge and not be sticky, but I ended up not doing that. So I'm taking some crochet thread and threading the top part of the label, and I ended up just putting it on the picture, so I didn't even need to powder that. But that powder tool is for stamping so that when you're heat embossing, the static doesn't cling to the other embossing powder, and it'll do a clear embossing. So on this one, it says one little story of right now. I wrote, due to this pandemic, Kaya had to take her secret dancer's birthday present and drop it off at their house. Here she put the gift on their doorstep, rang the doorbell, then ran. Yeah, we do know who the secret dancers are now, but so I put that and put the date. Now there's a picture on the left-hand side. It's when coronavirus first started and all that social distancing was being really enforced. And I took a picture of Target and how empty it was then. And I'm taking a little label and I'm cutting the edge because it didn't cut straight, using my Kokio adhesive and adhering that so that I can do my journaling. Of course, I cut the edge off and I'm going to staple it with my tiny eraser. And I just wrote, Target is empty right before Easter. Something that is not normal. You usually see tons of people at Target, and so I just wanted to take a picture of that. And then the right hand side is a picture of all the number of confirmed cases in the United States. I just thought that was so interesting, so I took another picture of our TV. Now on this one, I am putting the chipboard that says this day on there, and I date stamped it using the Felicity Jane date stamp. So after that, I'm going to go on to my insert. All I'm doing is using a 6x8 insert, and this one is an old 6x8 insert from Studio Calico, and it's the two 3x4s with one 4x6 on the bottom, and I'm using the 4x6 card from Allie Edwards that says Easter Memories, and then I'm putting pictures, the 3x4 pictures of my kids into the 3x4 areas. So on the front side, I'm trying to look for another 3x4 card to do my journaling. and I don't find any that I want to use from the Allie Edwards kit. So I'm going through the Studio Calico 3x4 kits to see if there's something I could journal on. And I do find one, and I start my journaling, but I want to do a little embellishment first. So on the one of my son crying, I wrote Easter Joy. I know, so bad. And then on the one of my son on the bottom, I just put the chipboard that says Easter Memories. And then of the one on top of my daughter, look at her. She thinks she's like a teenager with her legs crossed and her hair in a cute messy bun. I put Egg Hunt on that one, and I cut off the edge because I wanted to come off the page. I especially like to do that with circle embellishments. So on the front one, I put a picture of celebrating, I put a chipboard of celebrating today on the bottom one of my son. And so on the journaling card, I started journaling, but I wanted to do a stamp, and I wanted to use the one that says one little story of right now. So I'm using my Versa Fine black onyx to stamp that onto the bottom of my journaling card. That VersaFine does great at detail stamping, so I wanted to use that, and then I'm using my stamp chamois to clean off the stamp. So then I started writing, the Easter Bunny showed up despite the pandemic. Uni had a meltdown because he got more coins than candy. Doesn't he know he can buy more candy with the money? I just wanted to write that one little story down. But as I did my journaling, I smudged the stamp. Oh, so frustrating. So now I'm finding another journaling card, and I just found a simple graph one. And then I put the stamp using the VersaFine ink, and I just stamp that on the top so I don't smudge it while I do my journaling. I do write the exact same thing back on this journaling card, and then I call my layout done. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. If you enjoyed this type of video, please share with someone who you think might enjoy this as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.